Comparing team, you can start now.
You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. A very good evening to one and all present here. What a great day it is now. The sun takes a break as the moon claims authority of the sky, but the entirety of it clouded with serene drizzles. Above all, your presence here is the cherry on top. We warmly welcome you to this event. As we successfully completed our 4 days of FDP, we are very glad to have all the faculty participants for the first day of Faculty Development Program on Waste to Wealth, Emerging Trends in Green Energy for a Sustainable Development, organized by VTHT High Tech, Dr. Rangarajan, Dr. Sakuntala Engineering College. The wonder of being a teacher is they watch the caterpillars become butterflies. Now, I would like to call upon Ms. M. Udayamadi, Assistant Professor, Department of Biotechnology, to deliver the welcome address.
Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone is staying safe with Mondays. On behalf of the management, VTech High Tech, Dr. Rangarajan, Dr. Sakuntala Engineering College, I take my immense pleasure to welcome you all for the fifth day of Week 1 Faculty Development Program on Waste to Wealth, Emerging Trends in Green Energy for Sustainable Development. I also welcome our eminent speaker of the day, Dr. K.S. Rajmohan, Assistant Professor, Department of Chemical Engineering, National Institute of Technology, Warangal. Sir is going to give a lecture on the topic Algal Biofuels, Current Prospects and Future Perspectives, and Microalgal as a source for energy and nutraceuticals. I now call upon Ms. Divya Ketana to give brief introduction about the guest speaker. I once again welcome you all for today's session and kindly make use of the session. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Dr. K.S. Rajmohan has joined NIT Warangal in May 2018. Prior to joining NIT Warangal, he was associated with Shastra University from 2005 to 2009 and UPES Dehradun from 2014 to 2018. He has vast experience in teaching and administration. On academic ground, he has PhD in Chemical Engineering from Indian Institute of Technology, Madras, and his PhD work involved electrocatalyst preparation by various techniques in which several carbon-supported electrocatalysts were synthesized, physically characterized using SEM, XRD, FTIR, Raman, TGA, and electrochemical characterization using cyclic voltammetry. Rotating disc electrode were performed to evaluate the electrocatalytic activity towards reduction of nitrate. A solid polymer electrolyte reactor was designed using the prepared catalysis to perform electrochemical reduction of nitrate. At Shastra University and UPES Dehradun, he has held various management works like UGPG course coordinator, activity coordinator, timetable in charge, and course allocation for faculty. He is an enthusiastic researcher with 7 publications and 60 plus conference proceedings. His broad research interests includes chemical reaction engineering, catalysis, advanced materials, interdisciplinary areas of materials chemistry, nanotechnology, and analytical chemistry focusing on the design, synthesis, characterization, and application of novel strategies and functional materials for solving challenging problems in purification and treatment of air and water. He is a reviewer in journals of Springer, Taylor and Francis, and Elsevier publishers. He is a member of Society of Chemical Industry, Belgrave Square, London, UK. India Society for Electroanalytical Chemistry, Indian Institute of Chemical Engineers, Lucknow, and Electrochemical Society, New Jersey, USA. On personal front, Dr. K.S. Rajamohan is a rational and progressive thinker, debates and motivational speaker, blogger, philosophically supports humanity over everything else. We are proud to have such an inspiring personality with us on this evening. Now, I'd like to invite Dr. K.S. Rajmohan, Assistant Professor, Department of Chemical Engineering, NIT Warangal, to enlighten us with his knowledge on algal biofuels, current prospects and future perspectives, and microalgae as a source of energy and nutraceuticals. We welcome you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Viveketna, for a kind introduction. So can we start the session, sir? I think I will share this.
Yeah, you are very audible.
Okay.
Yeah, you can go
Yeah.
ahead. Yeah, you can proceed.
Before I start my session, I would like to thank the invitation from VTHT High Tech. I thank the chief patrons and patrons of this conference, conveners, Yuvraj, Gnanasegaran, and Vidamani Madam for inviting me to this presentation. And I appreciate the efforts of coordinators, Dr. M. Gopinath, who is my friend for past decade, Dr. Bharati Raja, Dean R20 for inviting me to this conference. So, in the introduction, it was told my research areas involves waste water technologies, energy systems, nanomaterials, CO2 capture and utilization, mainly in biochemical areas, and waste to energy conversions. So before I get into the topic, I will just briefly introduce our NIT Warangal Department of Chemical Engineering. So these are my colleagues. We have 6 professors, 4 associate professors, and 6 assistant professors. We are 19 in number right now. So with respect to student intake, we always have 100 plus intake for past 6-7 years, and our placements are always above 85 to 90%. And if you look at our placement package also, the average package you can see here, which is around 27 lakhs per first 22 batch pass around. And our students even scored GATE first rank in GATE 2022. Our students even got the first PMR fellowship. Directly students can join from BTech to PhD in IITs. So under that we have 2-3 candidates who have gone to IITs also. So that is our track record with respect to academics. And coming to research, we have several research projects funded by MHRD, SRB, imprint projects. We have DRDO, Ministry of Science and Technology, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, like that. If you look at our some of the facilities that we have in our department, we have tubular furnace, electrospinning device, auto lab for electrochemical workstation. We have microwave reactor. We have corrosion testing equipment, contact angle measurement, particle size analyzer, spin coater, UV spectroscopy, microscopy, lithium-ion battery, recycling unit, and we have some heat exchanger testing unit and chemical loop combustion setup we have. And we have TOC analyzer and some normal equipment like humidity chamber, vacuum oven, orbital shaker for biochemical experiments, which I have purchased recently. And we have single cell fuel cell test stations, and we have ultrasonic atomizers. And recently, we also have some control equipment, control experimental setups for universal process control trainer is there, cascade control, 3 tank control is there. And this recently we have procured in my lab. We have some water treatment. We have this water treatment system for getting type 1, type 2 ultra pure water, and we procured some photochemical reactors and single beam UV spectroscope printer is there, and we have corrosion testing CH instrument. And also we have recently, I have one mighty project of 2 crores with which we procured this probe sonicator for ultrasonic chemical preparations. And we have some micro reactors to produce nanoparticles, other productions, material synthesis. And our department particularly, we have collaboration with ICT Mumbai. We have our faculty going to Belgium, Spain, and we have a collaboration with NCL Pune, and our faculty go have interaction. We have MOU with Portugal, Australia, and other government institutes in India also. And coming to this topic, algal biofuels, current prospects and future perspectives. and microalgae as a source of energy and nutraceuticals. So I will just divide this into two sets of time. Then we have a 10 minutes break. That's what I was told. Okay. So to start with, if you look at the energy consumption pattern and what is the scenario and requirement of sustainable energy in India, we can see that according to the fifth assessment report of IPCC, so there is 2.3% annual increase in energy consumption is there, and particularly up to 2012, if you look at the global energy mix, the energy contribution, that is the energy production, is mainly from the sources like fossil fuels like coal, natural gas and oil, which is around 87% in 2012. And with this dominance is getting changed from the other three sources, will be changing slowly. And if you look at the trend, it is predicted also that to lead the replacement of oil by coal by the year 2017 by the International Energy Agency, they are finding that there is only 0.1%, 0.2%, 0.5% reduction from these sources actually. And if you look at India as a consumer of energy consumption pattern in India, if you follow, it keep increasing, consumption is increasing, but we can see the production, is almost flat. Okay, but whereas the consumption of energy is keep on increasing from the year 2000 to 2015. So what does it mean is the gap is being met mainly by importing. So by 70% net import dependent in 2015 is the status of India. So, but our energy demand is rising more than global energy demand. Global energy demand is increasing by 2.5% per year, whereas if we see India's energy demand, it is keep on increasing at the rate of 6.5% per year. Okay, so that way this by 2040, this Indian oil production is predicted to remain steady only because we are not invested much in starting our public sector energy production units. So that way our net import dependency of India, which has raised from 43% in 1990s to 75% in the 2015. So that is, which means that when we are dependent upon fossil fuels, all the transactions are done in dollars. When you do more dollar, that means GDP is more spent on these things only. Okay. So also with looking into other aspects like energy and environmental quality, we can see that all of us know very well that because past 4 days you might have been dumped with so many information on pollution kind of thing. So you can see that about 40 to 38% of gross CO2 and ozone burning of biomass is also a grave source of gaseous emission. Okay. So in addition to combustion of biomass as fuel in conventional system, they also contribute to 1.4 million tons of methane. So always you have so many problems, particularly air pollution and global climate change is a issue which is caused due to burning of the fossil fuels. And one of the significant threats that is facing this world is climate change. As I said, according to this IPCC fifth assessment report, the major anthropogenic contributor to the climate change is mainly because of these three: coal, natural gas, and oil. So which came into practice at the dawn of the industrial era, which amplified this atmospheric concentration of CO2 and mainly these heat-trapping greenhouse gases. So there is a need to move towards these renewable and sustainable energy sources. So for example, solar energy, wind energy, and biofuels are some of the examples of renewable energy, which refers to the energy obtained from the natural resources that will not deplete over the time, right? So if you look at these non-renewable sources like fossil fuels, which are formed over millions of years, and they cannot be regenerated easily also. So we have to look into technologies like renewable energy technologies, RET, or people call it as green technologies or clean technology, whatever name we call it. We have to exploit, explore, and develop more technologies based on energy production based on the renewable energy sources. So because that is the need, most important, it is urgent, and that should be our priority of the government while framing the policy to find ways and methods to generate how to use energy, how to preserve the integrity of the elementary natural systems, how to arrest the environmental degradation, how to have a sustainable development towards more sustainable, fair, and civilized world. So, particularly in the sustainable energy, solar, wind, and water-based energy and biofuels are some of the examples. So, which will be emitting low carbon. So, they are also called as low carbon technologies. We have to develop such opportunities that will result in a world that is healthy, viable, and as a secure energy source. So we are looking at what is the contribution of this renewable energy and the global arena. If you look at uh, if you look at the condition, you can say that it can be enhanced by 6% by improving the energy efficiency and upgrading energy assets. And we can see that energy from the renewable sources can exceed up to 30% by 2030. That was the IRENA agency has estimated. So we can have maximum of 30% if we work towards the goal of reducing the carbon emissions. Then it is possible to achieve that we can have 30% energy from the renewable energy sources. And if you look at the growth rate of our renewable energy sources with respect to different sources, you can see, particularly in power sector, you can see the growth rate in 2013, how the growth rate is there. You can see the growth rate 2008, comparison between 2008 and 2013, how there is a big increase in the growth rate of wind energy, solar panels, hydropower. Okay, so you can see that difference here. And similarly, in the other applications like transport sector, you can see the increase in the growth rate of ethanol production and biodiesel production in comparison to 2008. And coming to the clean energy status, we have renewable power generation, which includes wind, solar, biomass, and waste and geothermal. It can be shown that renewable energy generation is increased year by year, at which the Asia Pacific generate the highest renewable energy in every year. So you can see this graph particularly. So in comparison to the world, okay, so here we are having, so 2009, what is the status? If you look at Asia Pacific is in orange color, Europe is green color. Okay, so in 2009, this is about renewable energy. So you can see that in 2009, Europe is leading the renewable energy sources, whereas South Asia was less than that. Even up to 11, 13, 15, you can see the trend was similar, that European countries are leading in producing renewable energy sources. So these units are in terawatts per hour, terawatt hours. But in the scenario, if you look at this case, 2017 and 19, you can see that Asian countries are producing more renewable energy than European countries or North America or South Central America. So we Asian countries are leading in producing the renewable energy from renewable sources. Okay. Similarly, here, if you look at latest year 2018 and 19 alone, particularly wind energy wise, if you want to see the breakup of which energy is being produced, here you can see that wind energy, solar energy, and other energies are there. We are in terms of wind energy, Asia is leading. In terms of solar energy, Asia is leading. And in terms of other, like particularly biomass kind of other sources, you can see Europe is slightly leading, but we are close to it. We're coming to wind energy, Asia is leading. Coming to solar energy, Asia is leading in 2019 also. So we are able to say, we can say that Asian countries are performing well in renewable energy sources because of since 2000 we have been focusing on biotechnology. A new branch in biotechnology came. So we have a department of biotechnology giving research fund towards producing bioproducts, all that, how to convert biomass into useful products, all that. So which is resulting now. Okay, in 2000, government took a policy to invest more on fund more projects on biotechnology, all that. Now we are able to show the result in terms of producing more energy from bioresources also. Okay, so we have several renewable energy sources, and if you look at these numbers, biofuels also coming into picture as one of the potential option to reduce the world dependence on the fossil fuels, which can be helpful in reducing the greenhouse gases, right? Because when we say bioenergy, it takes care of all that one, right? Wind, solar, wave, and hydropower. Particularly if you look into biomass, which includes a broad variety of forestry, wood materials are there, agricultural waste are there, urban waste is there, industrial manufacturing waste products are also there. So they all together, we know it is called as biomass, and they provide a very good aspect and alternative resource for renewable energy sources. And this biomass refers to all the plant matters that can directly use as a firewood or transformed into domestic usage into other systems. It can be a wood, vegetable waste, animal waste, liquid and solid waste, even municipal waste also included under this biomass category. Okay, but on the contrary, when we talk about biofuel biomass, is capable of substituting either fully or in combination of different percentage for the fossil fuel, because we cannot 100% we are not able to run our vehicles with bioethanol, but you can see the government has made a policy and slowly increasing the percentage of bioethanol which is being mixed with the commercial petrol that we are filling in our bike or car daily in the petrol bunks. You can see that it is certain percentage of bioethanol is being mixed with it. Okay, so that way, even if we are not able to substitute 100%, we are able to blend it with the fossil fuel, and slowly we are able to reduce it. That is why there is a huge demand to produce more bioethanol so that we can blend more, or even we can replace it with commercial requirements. All the commercial requirements can be met with biofuels. Okay, so that is why there is a need to produce more biodiesel or bioethanol or biofuels, whatever. In several developing countries, we can see that bioenergy plays a vital part in the production of useful renewable energies. Even if you look at some of the countries in Asian countries, particularly our neighbor countries like Bhutan, this bioenergy has become the major source of power supply. Okay, so we are talking about a country which we consider it as secondary source, up to 35% of power need we can do, or it can meet up to 13% of the global power demand can be met using bioenergy like that. But there are some nations like Bhutan, Nepal, some countries in Africa. So there is a primary source of energy supply. Particularly in Bhutan, it is 86% energy power production is from bioresources only. Okay, so biofuels. So why biomass resources? They are carbon neutral. They can be widely used as a promising substitute for primary fossil fuels such as coal, oil, and natural gas. Okay, so why we consider this biomass is because they have heating value. If you compare, because we always as an engineer, we are concerned about the calorific value or heating value that a particular fuel per unit mass can give, how much energy or how much joule of energy a particular fuel can give per kg of mass or per gram, how much. So if I burn 1 ton of biomass, how much calorific value I will get is what we are concerned about here. So any fuel, if I am burning coal, I am burning biomass. So what we are concerned about is about the heating value. Okay. So but when you compare the heating value that we obtain from these biomass resources is obviously lower than the conventional fossil fuels, but we have other advantages. Okay. So that is why there is a growth in this biomass utilization in this society, which includes renewability, environmental sustainability. It depends less reduction on the imported foreign fossil fuels, right? So less dependent on the fossil fuels. Then there is a reduction in emission of greenhouse gases, and even when you are doing combustion also. Okay. So particularly all of us are well aware about this lignocellulosic biomass, which is a renewable, cost-efficient, eco-friendly biofuel. Thereby, it creates a global priority. It has become a global priority in using this lignocellulosic biomass. But there are main hurdle in this lignocellulosic biomass is because if you look at the structure of the any lignocellulosic biomass, lignin is there, which is like acting like a shell, like a tortoise shell. It is there. So So the crystalline nature of this lignin layer protects the other two components of this thing, the cellulose, all that. So which makes it very difficult to break it. That is the thing is there. So even such difficulties are there. That way, there is a requirement of physical pre-treatment, which is a major step in processing the lignocellulosic biomass using milling, grinding, chipping. Several methods are there. We have used chemical pre-treatment methods. So pre-treatment has become a very major step whenever we are dealing with lignocellulosic biomass, whatever it may be. It may be sugar cane, bagasse, or cornstarch, anything, wheat straw, anything. Because if you look at any lignocellulosic material, we can see that the content of cellulose is around 40 percentage, hemicellulose is around 25 percentage, and the lignin percentage is around 20 percentage. Okay, so you can see particularly if you put sugar cane bagasse, lignin content is 20 percentage, cellulose percentage 42 percentage. So this 20 percentage, that too it is externally present. Okay, so we know that what is cellulose, hemicellulose, lignin, because the majority of you are from biotechnology background, so you are aware about what is cellulose, hemicellulose. But particularly if you look into lignin, because lignin is the main what do you call it, is a person which is responsible for the high cost of pre-treatment. So we should look into that again. So lignin is a complex amorphous heterobiopolymer insoluble in water consisting of phenyl propane units, which is joined together by CC bonds or aryl linkages and some alcoholic groups. So these monomers, when they form polymer, these phenyl propane units are called as parahydroxyphenyl and this syringe units. Okay, so this unit, this phenyl propanoid unit of lignin is the main bottleneck in breaking down the lignocellulosic biomass because it provides a structural support. It actually impervious layer and it protects against the microbial invasion into that. So these things are making this phenyl propanoid unit very tough one. So for example, if you look into this sector, this lignin is the outer layer which protects this cellulose and other things. So there is a requirement to do pre-treatment to break this lignin protection layer. Okay, so cellulose and hemicellulose needs to be approached, means we have to break this lignin layer, which needs to be done using some pre-treatment. It can be mechanical, chemical, or other ways. So then only these cellulose and hemicellulose are accessible to for other conversions. Okay, so it is important that we understand this lignocellulosic biomass needs to be pre-treated before we can produce something out of it, right? So I am expressing this because we are going to discuss about microalgae. Why microalgae is superior to this lignocellulosic biomass? That's why I am spending time on this lignocellulosic biomass, because this is also one of the biofuel which may be presented by other speakers. We all know that this lignocellulosic biomass needs this many type of pre-treatments. Okay, it can be physical treatment, it can be chemical treatment, or physicochemical treatment, or biological treatment. Okay, so we need so many treatment methods, pre-treatment method. As I said, without breaking this lignin, it is not possible to process the biomass further. Okay, so that way, this pre-treatment is a major step in converting this crystalline thing into powder, other forms. Okay, so among the various methods available, pyrolysis, microwave method, milling, and ozonolysis, dipyritic solvents. These are some of the things, and even physicochemical methods are being used, and even CO2 can be utilized to convert these things. And there are biological methods based on monoculture, co-culture, and genetically engineered bacteria also. So these are some of the methods used to for this lignocellulosic. And after breaking it, we can further, after separating cellulose, hemicellulose, and lignin, we can get several products. Okay, for example, lignin is further processed to produce biohydrogen, biomethane, or biodiesel. Hemicellulose and cellulose can be further processed to produce ethanol, butanol, methane, methyl tetrahydrofuran, all these. Okay, so these are the several products, which is not the concern of this particular talk. But however, in general, this composition of biomass is also playing an important role. We should know that what is preferred? Because in general, if you look into biomass as elemental composition, whatever may be the source, people will be fancily calling banana peel, orange peel, sugarcane bagasse, whatever name, cornstarch, or different names or different biomass can be named. But if you look into elemental structure, what all of them content is what matters to us. And what do all of them content is, if you look into carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and sulfur content, you can see the weight percentage on dry basis. Carbon is around 44 percentage, hydrogen is around 5 to 6 percentage, oxygen is around 41 to 50 percentage, nitrogen is around 0.1 to 0.6, sulfur is around 0 to zero point 0.2. So this is the general composition of biomass. Okay, so this will range depending upon where the biomass is being grown or where it is cultivated, season, what are the environmental factors, all that will contribute. Okay, so if you look into this hydrogen, if hydrogen is more, what happens? When the hydrogen is more, what happens is water will be formed. Okay, because during combustion, water will be formed. So that means that the heating value will be reduced. Okay, so the weight content of hydrogen on dry basis is usually slightly lower in the herbaceous biomass than in the wood biomass. Okay, so than wood biomass, the herbaceous biomass will have more. We will be having this hydrogen content. But if you ask me, hydrogen should be more or less, it should be low. Okay, and if you look at nitrogen, more the nitrogen, what it will do? Nitrogen will become nitrogen oxides, all the product. Okay, if they don't concentrate also, it remains neutral. So nitrogen is not going to affect the process. Whereas coming to the sulfur, the higher growth rate of most herbaceous crops means that sulfur concentration in biomass is typically higher than those in woody biomass. So if you talk about sulfur content, it is going to produce some sulfur dioxide kind of product into the things, right? When you are burning it. So we should have less sulfur content because separating sulfur products is going to be a challenge. Okay. And coming to oxygen, if you ask me, oxygen should be more or less in the biomass, because when the oxygen is more, what it is happening that majority of the biofuels are limited because the utilization is limited because the excess content of the oxygen. Okay, because when the oxygen content in the phenolic compound structure are very complex to break or to remove, so in the form of water, so that to enhance the heating value. So heating value will be low if more oxygen is there. So we should prefer, why I am telling this is, when you are choosing a biomass, you should not go by names like orange peel, sugar cane, bagasse, or cornstarch kind of thing. You should look into theoretically what is general property, how much is the element percentage, how much is this carbon it is there, how much nitrogen is there. While choosing, we have to defend our choice of particular biomass using this type of characteristic properties. Okay, so we should choose a material when given a choice. Say for example, you have a choice to choose two material. One is having elemental oxygen content more, one is having less. We should go with less oxygen content. Similarly for sulfur also. Okay, because if you are having sulfur, you know that H2S will be formed. So that cleaning of syngas cleaning will be very difficult in the gasification process, or even it will lead to corrosion problems also. So we should prefer sulfur content less. Okay, so nitrogen content more, hydrogen content less. Okay, carbon content should be more. So that is the way we will be choosing material. So carbon content is more, hydrogen should be less, oxygen should be less, nitrogen can be more, sulfur should be less. So that way we have to choose the biomass which we want to work on if we have a choice to choose. Okay, and coming to another content, the main content is ash content. So this ash content also calorific value, it will be less if you have more ash content. Okay, so that way if you look at the different biomass sources like tea waste, tamarind waste, olive pits, coconut shell, sunflower stock, soybean, bagasse, corn cob, sawdust, everything, you can see the ash content is varying from 4.3 percentage to 28 percentage. Okay, and when you have this ash content, more ash content is there, you have problems such as fouling, slagging, and corrosion. So that way, our choice of ash content should be, means our choice of biomass should be based on ash content should be low. Okay, whichever having less ash content, we have to choose that one. Okay, so in this way, we have several biomasses which have been generated, in which we have crossed almost 3 generations of different biomasses. So we have conventional biofuels, which is called as first generation biofuels, and we have biomass residues and industrial waste kind of thing, which comes under second generation biomasses. And then recently we have shifted towards algal biofuels, which is third generation biomass. Okay, so in general, in all of them, what we are doing is we have to have a raw product which we need to cultivate, and we have to discard the waste from it. We have to process it and again discard the waste things. Then we will be consuming it again. What after consumption, we have to throw it out into waste. Okay, so that is what being done in general. So we are moving towards this algal biofuels. In general, any all these biofuels will be undergoing either thermochemical conversions, biochemical conversions, or transesterification, or photosynthetic microbial fuels to get some useful product out of it. It can be in the form of energy, it can be in the form of alternative fuels. Okay, so that's what we are getting into our today's topic. So first generation, third generation. This I am skipping because we have already different speakers speaking on these biofuels separately. Okay, so coming to third generation feedstock, it includes algae, microalgae, and cyanobacteria. Some people refer cyanobacteria as algae, but the cyanobacteria is not algae, but it is called as blue-green algae, blue algae. Okay, because of the chlorophyll content in which it is comparable to algae, and also it lives in water. So for the comparison, we include cyanobacteria as the algae, microalgae. Okay, so algae species can be classified as microalgae or macroalgae, and also nowadays we are genetically modifying these algae to modify the catabolic pathway, which is responsible for producing the bioproducts like ethanol. Okay, so we can produce more energy using these algae species. And if you look at some of the first generation, second generation feedstocks, you can see the biodiesel production. In terms of biodiesel production, what is the oil yield? How much oil we can get out of it? If you compare soybean, rapeseed oil, palm, jatropha, castor, and microalgae, you can see the oil yield, how much liters per hectare we can get produce. Okay, so land use, how much land use, you can see how much oil yield is there. So easily every one of us will able to agree. Even you can comment in your Google Meet message box also, which feedstock is giving more oil yield. You can write the answer from this table. All of you can see first generation oil yield is 636 liters per hectare. So, but whereas third generation feedstock microalgae is able to produce 58,700 liters of oil per hectare of cultivation. Okay, so you can compare the oil content by weight percentage in the biomass also. You can see first generation is 18, means it is almost having 30. Okay, 30 to 70 is the range in which this thing is going on. Okay, so you can comment which generation feedstock is giving more oil yield. So you can say which generation, either it is first, second, or third. You can comment your answer there. Okay. Also, in addition to this oil yield percentage, from ecological and environmental point of view also, these microalgae cultures have a smaller ecological footprint because the land area required is, its production is 1 to 2 others of magnitude lower than the conventional crops. 100 times less area is required is what we try to say when we say 2 orders of magnitude lower. Okay, so instead of conventional crops, we need very less area to produce these things. Okay, so if you look at the other benefits, it requires less space. Its ability of the algae species to withstand any adverse condition. See, remember, it can grow in extreme summer, extreme winter. This algae can withstand. It can grow in land, it can grow in water, kind of different thing also it can be. So even in worst conditions, it is able the ability to withstand that and able to capability to mitigate makes them a better choice for biofuel production. And we should know that algae growth is 30 times faster than the growth of normal food crops. And also we have seen the oil content secreted in the algae is more than 30 times faster than the produced during first and second generation biofuels. Okay, so that is the reason we are discussing about microalgae. Okay, additionally, from an ecological environmental point of view, we have seen this earlier. Okay, so in comparison to first, second generation fuels, these third generation biofuels from microalgae are considered as a feasible and sustainable solution for future demand by overcoming the shortcomings of the first two generation biofuels. Okay, so now all of us are clear that microalgae are better than other two. So what is microalgae? So microalgae, there are several type of microalgae are there. They have the potential as an energy producing raw materials. No doubt that the growth of microalgae is faster than some other plants that can produce oil, such as corn, soya beans, palm oil, or sunflower. So which grows very fast. They need very less water and they need very less land also. Okay, so microalgae do not need a lot of land or water for the production, and they don't produce any waste harmful to the environment. You can see that after every agricultural product is harvested, farmers are burning it in Punjab or Pakistan. Delhi is getting polluted. Delhi's ppm level of all the air pollution index is very high in Delhi, right? So we all this because of agricultural wastes are being burned across the country, and which is coming to wind. That's what government is saying. Okay, so that way this microalgae will not produce any byproduct that is waste or harmful to the environment in comparison to the first or second generation thing. Okay, so some of these images here are some hair algae, cyanoalgae, bubble algae, diatoms algae, bryopsis algae. These are some of the common algae which will be present even in our home aquarium. Fish tank is there in our home. These algae are easily that will grow into your tank. Okay. So why do we need this third generation tank? So particularly why we have to use this microalgae instead of sugarcane, or remember only in India we are talking about waste, producing it from waste. Okay, but in foreign countries like US, all the places, they grow these sugarcane not to eat during Pongal. Okay, they don't grow cultivate corn just to eat at beach or during season. Okay, they are producing in large scale only to use it as biomass. Remember, there are in country, in other part of country, there are people who are suffering to get one meal per day, right? So hunger index is more in several countries. We have around more countries are there. So some we cannot use this edible thing only to produce use it as biomass, right? We are not going, but because we have people around the globe looking for food. Okay, so that way, if you look at first generation, second generation fuels, their main focus is they are depriving the food to the people. But if you look at this microalgae, it is not touching the food aspect. Okay, so that is what we are trying to tell here. Okay, so there are several microalgae which can easily grow quickly. They need less water, which will even absorb carbon dioxide also. That is also another advantage in using this. Okay. So these microalgae, this we have this one. Okay, so these microalgae can also be grown in almost all places, can even make use of liquid industrial waste such as agricultural waste for survival. That's what main thing is. Obviously algae will be growing in water, so we have already water scarcity in India. Why we should use this method? So that is where this alternative solution is coming, that this algae can be need doesn't require you fresh water. Okay, as we said, we have to only choose the appropriate algae for your particular water content. Okay, it can be industrial wastewater, it can be kitchen waste, it can be your municipal waste. Particular algae will be growing well in that particular environment. So if we identify that algae and if we have to look into the carbon content of the algae, we will be able to make use of it. Okay. So there are many companies which have started microalgae based emerging in some developed countries. One such company is microalgae based company which is Alginol, that produces bioethanol or microalgae, and also there is another company Solazyme, so they produce jet fuel from microalgae. So it's not that it is very something new that I am talking about. So these are even in commercial stage at many places. Okay. And the biggest cost in the production of is in the process of harvesting the microalgae. That is, I am introducing the challenge also right now. Okay. So you can see that 90% of the microalgae contain water, and they require a fairly expensive technology to separate water, and microalgae are mostly in the range of size. You know the micron sizes of microalgae, right? Around 5 to 10 micron in size. So it is very difficult to separate out microalgae. That is a major bottleneck associated with this one. I'm just giving a brief of this in discussing detail. So that's why some companies are facing problem in how to filter out or separate out these microorganisms. How to separate out this microalgae from the medium and how to reduce the cost. So that is the challenge people are working on. Okay. And what is microalgae? We are biotechnology students and faculty. We all know that how this microalgae is classified. As I said, microalgae are generally eukaryotic, for example, green algae. But some people even list cyanobacteria as a prokaryotic. But as I said, it is not actually an algae, but since its content, chlorophyll content, it is living in water. That way, it is even closely related to green algae as blue algae. But actually that is bacteria, as the name indicates. But it is generally it is okay to call even cyanobacteria as a microalgae because they have been closely used, looking like a green algae. That is a blue algae microorganism. Okay. But generally, all these microalgae are eukaryotic in nature. Some of them are prokaryotic, as the book says. And these microalgae don't have any root, stem, leaves, or any sexual organ or vascular systems. And this, how we classify these algae are, we know that it can be classified based on habitat. It can be classified based on whether it is hydrophilus, adaptic, aerial, cryophytic or not, endophytes or endozoic or parasites. Okay, so each one we all know the definitions. For example, habitat means examples are hydrophilus. All these things are there. So hydrophilus means pollinated by water, agency of water. Edaphic means either it is related or caused by the particular soil condition. Cryophytic means, as the name indicates, that can sustain in ice and snow also. Endophyte means often a bacterium fungus which lives within the part of the plant, at least up to a part of life cycle, but it won't cause any disease to the plant. And that is endozoic, which also living within or involving the passage through an animal, but which does not cause any diseases. But parasites is the one which will live, but which will also harm the host also, because it will be using the nutrients that is required by the living organism, and that will be using. So that way, this parasites also going to harm the host in which it is living. Okay, so these are some of the classification of the algae, and we have seen that they can survive in both hot and cold weather conditions, and they are usually green, red or brown in color. Okay, so they are living in aquatic environments, we know that. And advantage of this microalgae, if you look at it, they have very high photosynthetic efficiency. Around 40% of photosynthesis that is being done in the world is done by microalgae. That is a huge percentage if you compare. Okay, so microalgae are responsible for our oxygen production because they are doing this photosynthesis effect. They can tolerate even high concentrations of CO2, resulting in approximately 50% of carbon is stored in these microalgae cells. And in the world, approximately 50,000 microalgae species are reported in the literature. And the species of microalgae is suitable for cultivation. We will have to choose cultivation which can be cultivated. Will be choose based on their L by S accumulation, high lipid by sugar accumulation, their ability to produce some high value nutrition products or rapid growth rate, faster kinetics. Okay, so based on that only we will be choosing which microorganism. As I said, there are 50,000 microalgae is there, which one we have to choose to cultivate or use it as biomass source. Okay, and each we know that this cultivation of this microalgae is very expensive than the conventional crops, because The growth of the microalgae requires sunlight or light source is required. They need CO2 supply. The pH should be maintained. They need inorganic salts, and also they need organic nutrition. So if you are doing it separately, it is going to be costly. That is where what we are doing is we are trying to combine this cultivation with coupling it with wastewater treatment, because wastewater will be having this NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, all this. Okay. So, this NPK, sodium, potassium, and phosphates. Okay, so they are needed for the growth of microalgae, so which is available in the wastewater. For example, I did my PhD in nitrated wastewater. So here that wastewater can be even alternatively used to grow the microalgae. But obviously that other factor needs to be addressed before we can use it. Okay, so that way there are ways to grow microalgae rather than simply doing it in pure water. Okay, only thing is we have to, it has to survive in that particular medium. Okay, as I told you earlier, 40% of the global photosynthesis is performed by the microalgae. To exemplify, there are around 16,000 species attributed to green algae itself. Okay, so green algae itself, there are 16,000 species, and particular specific strains of this microalgae, which can be potentially used for biofuel production, pharmaceuticals, and nutraceuticals. Some microalgae have high carbon fixation ability, which can convert nutrients, solar energy, and inorganic carbon into chemical energy stored in the biomass. This is the property because of which this microalgae is being explored in all these areas. Okay. And also we have macroalgae, which are multicellular aquatic photosynthetic organisms that are also called as seaweeds, that you might have been well aware about it. And they also have high photosynthetic efficiency. Macroalgae capture CO2, which is abundantly dissolved in the sea. Okay. In addition, these macroalgae have a rapid growth rate, generating sufficient carbohydrates as photosynthesis. So around 10,000 species are reported in macroalgae existing in this planet. They can be classified as green, red, and brown. And looking at the challenges is, the main challenge in microalgae mass cultivation is to find the strains that can grow well under a industrial operating. We are not just looking at a lab, microbiology lab, or college laboratory where we want to grow this. We are discussing about producing them in bulk so that industry level production can be done. Okay. So for that, temperature is one of the significant operating parameter which affects the microalgae growth. So there is a certain luminous intensity to achieve the maximum rate of photosynthesis also. Light is important parameter, temperature is a parameter. So we have to identify the optimum temperature. It will increase with increasing the luminous intensity. However, there is an optimum temperature for maximum production of the biomass using this microalgae. Also, we know that variation of temperature is going to impact the composition of the cell. And optimal performance of the microalgae production is usually at the temperature greater than 20 degrees Celsius. For instance, the growth temperature range from for this particular species is around 4 to 32 degrees Celsius, with optimum temperature is 16 degrees Celsius. So it is important to maintain the temperature for this thing to grow. So that was one of the challenge. And also we know that different group of macroalgae grows in different environments. Green algae always appears in bays on these places, tide pools are there. Brown algae prefers growing in shallow and cold water areas. Okay. Red algae are the most abundant and widespread macroalgae occurring in deep cold waters or in warm shallow waters. So these are some of the examples for micro algae. And if you look at the carbon content, because we are discussing as an engineer to look into how it can be useful as biomass. If you look at the carbon content of these microalgae, you can see carbon content is varying from 50 to 45, 52 to 37 like this. And since carbon content is more, we have seen that carbon is more, its calorific value is going to be more. Right? So elemental carbon content of the bio oil that we produce from this microalgae is around this, which means that when you are burning it, high heating value in megajoules per kg is more. Okay, you can see that 21.2, 16.1 at least it is there. So that way we have this thing. So this biomass can be categorized by 4 organic fractions: lipid, protein, carbohydrate, and lignin. So that's why I discussed in detail about lignocellulosic biomass. Okay, that is general thing. Okay, so there are different methods we have to use, and as I told you, these microalgae need a lot of amount of water and nutrients to cultivate them. If you want to talk in terms of number, if you want to produce 1 billion gallon of biodiesel from microalgae feedstock, how much billion water is required is 1,000 times more water is there. You can see 1238 billion gallons of water is required, and 564 million kg of nitrogen is required to produce 1 billion gallon of biodiesel from the microalgae feedstock. So that way, it needs lot of water is there. So therefore, proper integration of microalgae cultivation with wastewater, which can be lead to successful production of microalgae based biofuel. So that's why we are looking into convert using wastewaters from different industries, particular thing, and identify the particular strain of algae and use this thing, because we know that different algae have different growth phases. I know you are well aware than chemical engineer, biotechnology people know better. So we know the log of cell numbers versus age of the culture. It goes through 5 different phases, right? So we have lag phase, exponential phase, stationary phase, depth and weakness phase. That is a diagram for monoculture method. So that way, this production of this algae derived fuels can be done. This microalgae species can be grown on any barren land or even in the wastewater. Okay, so that way we don't need a empty plot to do this algae production. If you have already lake in your place, in that lake we can do whatever water, open water resources are there, we can do algae production. Even if wastewater is available, wastewater plant is there, we can do this. So that way, it doesn't require some entirely new space to look into producing these algae-based fuels. Okay, but however, other steps towards the production of algae-based fuel is definitely they are technically challenging as well as the cost of operation also. Okay, for instance, if you look at the transesterification step, lipid extraction, cultivation, harvesting or dewatering, there are all some rudimentary steps for the production of this biodiesel using microalgae, and most significant cost is associated with harvesting process only. As I said, the extraction stage is critically linked with the crucial technical challenges originated from the cell wall structure of the habitat. Okay. So there are many type of algae which can be used and processed to become a biofuel. We know that biofuel is a fuel made from living things or the waste of a living thing. So all of us know what is biofuel. So that both biodiesel and bioethanol are the developing biofuels. You might have been aware of this by this time. Biodiesel is a renewable fuel made from seed oils. Bioethanol is an alcohol made from algae, corn, sugar, cane, or other sugar-containing feedstocks. So it is usually being blended with gasoline and used in IC engines. Okay, that's why in our commercial vehicles, as I told you earlier, we are using blending this bioethanol and so coming to cultivation of this microalgae. So how these microalgae are cultivated is, as I said, it needs light, it needs nutrition, it needs temperature, we have to maintain a pH. So all that is required to grow this algae. But after algae is grown, so we are going to focus on this one, how it is being done. Okay, algae, how it is harvested, how it is dewatered, how algae oil is extracted from it, all that. Okay, so I think if you want, we can have a break. As it is mentioned, we will be having break at this time. Sir?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah, I think we should have a break of 5 minutes. Yeah.
We can give for 5 to 10 minutes video. So actually, we are planning to have you all on Monday by 9 a.m. as the inaugural session. So as per our schedule. So we are looking. We are if anybody needs the accommodation, that all already we arrange. So people who are like to travel from Sunday, so maybe you can just put in a reminder that the I am started from your native. so that we will kept ready, and we will track you about your travel as well as the accommodations, and we will provide the same, no issues. And transport details by tomorrow evening, I will drop you all by email about the transportation and the route numbers and driver details, if possible. Otherwise, I will give you to all that the transportation in charge, the transport in charge, so that you can get to know that your boarding point place, so that without any hassle you can board at anywhere else in the Chennai bed. And we are kept ready everything on the Monday session, and Monday morning we are having the formal inaugural session, and followed by in the afternoon, after the inaugural session, immediately we are actually starting from our campus to the industrial visit. So the industrial visit also is arranged, and by 2 o'clock we are having the industrial visit at the Sribermatu. And once it is completed by exactly 4 or 4:30, we will reach again the campus, so from where we can dispose, or otherwise on the way, if anybody wants to get down, so we will you can plan accordingly, there is no issues. So if any difficulties there in your side, so feel free to drop a message or email me, so that we can date of industrial visits, ma'am, tomorrow, Monday, ma'am. Monday, 12/12/2022. So morning session we are having the inaugural, and afternoon session we are going for the industrial visit. So the trip definitely it will be give a lot of fun for you all. That maybe we all had the industrial visit at our UG or otherwise in the PG uh, programs. So after that, it we may gone for the industrial visit along with the student. So there must be always the some kind of responsibility. But now you are all back to the without any stress on your mind. You can enjoy, or otherwise feel free to have fun during the visit. So and moreover, this is a company where we can able to know that most of the unit operations and the unit process that are involved in our chemical engineering, and how the things are is taken place, and what are the ATP things are being carried out in the industries, all those things it will be. Actually, earlier we actually planned to take you all in the e-waste management at Sriperumbudur, but there was some kind of internal ISO certification things are going inside the company. Instead of that, we are actually going for the Ashish glass private India limited. It is located at Sribermatur, and they are actually glass manufacturer, and also they are actually doing some kind of waste management in there inside the things. So it is located at the Sribermatur and industrial area Irungattukottai. So it is it is maximum 10 to 20 minutes travel from our campus, so without if any traffic. So if it is any traffic is there, it bit maybe 40 minutes that will take to the company. So the detailed schedule for the Monday, and already it is given the plan. So however, it is the day wise the agenda. I will post you in the group about the transportation. All the details will be there in that. Don't worry about it. So if you have any problem, so feel free to you can contact me, or or otherwise the responsible coordinator also is allocated for the session. So you may contact them also. So definitely the people will help you out of it. If you have any queries or any travel plans are there in your mind, so you can drop me. So successfully we are in the fifth day. So one more day is tomorrow. I think hopefully tomorrow also most of the colleges is leave due to this cyclone and the heavy rainfall at Chennai bed. So I think tomorrow also we are having the last day for the online session, and from Monday we are having the offline session. So one speaker from the IIT Madras, that namely Dr. Satyanarayana Kumar is a professor in the Department of Biotechnology, is coming for the offline inaugural session. And hope it time permits to go for the souvenir release as well as the registration kit distribution. If not happen, then the things will be planned in the validity session. So whatever the registration kit and the your the souvenir things. Rajamohan sir, so are you ready? So we can go for.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, fine.
Okay, shall we resume the session? Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You can proceed, sir.
We hope all have joined back. Yes, okay. So coming to the cultivation of microalgae, as I said, this microalgae have a potential to be converted into biodiesel, and the remaining material can be used to create bioethanol also. So this biodiesel and bioethanol are developing biofuels, and biodiesel is a renewable fuel, we have seen. So coming to the cultivation part, the steps associated with the microbial algae disease value chains are shown in sequence here. So we have to convert any algae into a biofuel, several steps needs to be taken. So how we first major step is selecting the algae and the site. Okay, site means the place where we have to do this. Okay, because as we said, if you are looking for a fresh land, it is going to be a problem in developed countries or urban areas. But in rural areas, we will easily get the sites. Okay, but choosing the right algae which can grow in the given environment, it needs to be chosen, and properly we have to keep supplying the nutrients. We should ensure light, water, CO2 nutrients, which will lead to algae cultivation. So growing phase is the first step in algae production of algae. So after choosing the right algae, we will go for algae cultivation. So growing the algae using sunlight, carbon dioxide, and nutrients is the first step. The next one is after the algae has grown, we have to harvest the algae from the growing cycle. So that harvesting is one of the important steps. So second step, that one. So then we have to dewater this algae. Removing the water from the algae process is called as dewatering. So dewatering is important step. The third step in this algae production means energy production from algae. Then extraction of oil from the dried algae cake is to be done. So you can see the TSS percentage varying from 2% of in the algal effluent. After harvesting, we have algae slurry as 5 to 15% TSS. Then we have algal cake, which is containing 15 to 23% TSS. So from this oil, so we have to extract the oil from the dried algae cake, and then biofuel production. Converting the oil and algae into biofuels is the final step. Okay, so these are the 5 steps involved in converting any algae into biofuel. Okay, so there are different cultivation techniques available. Just I will be touch upon because we have some biotechnology participants here. So if you compare different methods which are available to cultivate microalgae, photoautotrophic cultivation or heterotrophic cultivation. So this photoautotrophic cultivation can be done inside in a closed reactor called as photobioreactors, or it can be done in open ponds. Okay, so each one has its own advantages and limitations which needs to be addressed. So if you look at the closed photobioreactors, so it is we are conserving water saving method. It greater long term it can work. It gives higher surface to volume ratio, which means high yield is there when you use this photoautotrophic cultivation, but it is going to be expensive. Scaling up is going to be an issue. Temperature control, because we will not have uniform temperature contribution. So to control the temperature issue, we have to circulate cooling water or whatever, because we have seen that 15 degrees optimum for particular species algae. So we have to clean that photoreactor periodically, and maximum light exposure are some of the limitations associated with photoautotrophic cultivation. But in open ponds, it is like evaporative cooling takes place and the cost is low. There is an advantage. But however, as you said, this algae stops the light from entering into the water. You are going to have that problem. So this changes in humidity and temperature is not under our control when you are doing it in pond or open pond, right? Because when it is sunny day, rainy day, or cyclone time, so that and all not under our conditions. So controlling the temperature and humidity will be an issue there. And if you are having monoculture, it will be difficult to maintain in terms of open ponds. We have a maximum light exposure problem and low yield is the problem in open ponds. As I said, more hectare area is used, but the oil uptake is going to be less. Then coming to the heterotrophic cultivation, that is easy to maintain. Contamination prevention is there. Utilization of inexpensive lignocellulosic sugar is there. Okay. So then we have high biomass concentrations also we obtain in terms of heterotrophic cultivation. And the problem issue is competition with other biofuel technologies for feedstock, because the feedstock that we are looking for this heterotrophic cultivation is being used by other biofuel technologies. Okay, so feedstock availability will be an issue with respect to that. Okay, so if you look at the potential benefit of algal biofeedstock as the potential benefits of this algal biofuel stocks are high yield per hectare product, high yield per acre productivity is there. Unlike other oil crops, algae grows very fast and they are exceedingly rich in lipid oil. Oil levels of 20% to 50% are quite common when you are using this one. And they are from non-food source. Okay, as I said, it won't compete with edible crops. So that is the major advantage when we talk about algal feedstock. And using this algae to produce feedstock for biofuel, it will not compromise the production of food and other products which we derive from the terrestrial crops. Use of otherwise non-productive, non-renewable land. And there is utilization of wide variety of water sources. As I said, any water source can be used. Only thing is we have to identify the right algae for the given wastewater. Okay, any water. Okay. So unlike terrestrial energy crops, this cultivation of algae will not need to compete with the farmland for food production. So we are not affecting the food production land for this algae production. And also the water that is used to grow this algae can include any wastewater. It can be non-potable or it can be even saline water, okay, which cannot be used for even agricultural purpose. So we are not diverting the water for the agricultural purpose or domestic purpose to production of this. I think we may have even seen the people protesting against the IPL being conducted during when there is a drought is there, farmers are not getting water. You are using the water for IPL games. So like that, they even shifted from Maharashtra to other states to conduct IPL. So that way we are not competing with any other wastewater or water sources being used for other applications. Okay, so that way we have a range of water to choose for the algae growth. That is one of the advantage. And also we are talking about greenhouse gas abatement. So we are addressing that issue also. So because this consume more CO2, because we have seen that algae cell contains more CO2 also. So they will consume more CO2 in the growth. Okay, so that is also one of the advantage. And the abatement potential will vary depending upon what product we are producing out of the algae. Okay, and if you are looking for production of biofuels and co-products, an algal biorefinery could be a potentially integrate several different conversion technologies to produce biofuels, including biodiesel, green diesel, green gasoline, aviation fuel, ethanol, methanol, also some products such as oil, proteins and carbohydrates. Okay, so valuable products also being obtained when you are producing further processing the after cultivating the algae, whatever we process. Okay. So as I told, the main cultivation way is it can be done in raceway ponds in open or closed system. Open ponds are most cost-effective method of cultivating algae, which consists of naturally available open ponds such as freshwater, saltwater ponds, based on the type of algae species which we choose for the desired product. Okay, and the areas of these open ponds may be several hectares, and due to this, the system faces many limitations such as any problem associated with this open pond is there will be contamination. Okay, so contamination by bacterial or fungal growth or invasion from other algae species, that also needs to be addressed when you do it in open ponds. And apart from these drawbacks, this biomass production can be successfully obtained nearly 98% successfully. We can produce biomass from the algae open ponds also. Okay, so that way this algae species produces high yield of dry biomass, contains oil content that even economizes the total process. So that is the advantage we have. So for example, the different algal species cultivated in various environmental conditions, you can compare. So we have list of microalgae and macroalgae. You can see the names here. And we have list of macroalgae. So we can see the type of production, how they are cultivated. It is done in open way pond, raceway pond, tank, raceway pond, open tank, open water pond, open water tank. So in these areas, which country it is done is there, what type of land they have used is here, and what type of climate is there, sunlight, solar radiation, carbon dioxide, temperature, all these are there. And they observe what are the factors that are affecting the microalgae growth. You can see that pH is one of the important parameter. What is the salinity? What is the erosion problem that we face? What is the turbidity of water? Because light has to go through the water for this process to take place, algae growth to take place. And what are the amount of nutrient available? How much dissolved oxygen is there? What is the concentration of salinity, erosion, temperature, pH? So we can see that the factors which determine the algae growth are pH, temperature, turbidity of the water, what is the concentration, what is the salinity, right? How much dissolved oxygen is there. So all these parameters will lead to the production of biomass. Okay. And for example, this chlorella pyronoidesa was grown in open raceway pond, which has resulted in successful removal of nutrient and yield more biomass content. So what they do when you are doing it in wastewater, they are removing the nutrients. Okay, so we are able to reduce the nutrient content like nitrate content in water, the NPK. So all these nutrients present in the water can be reduced by growing algae into that. So therefore we are converting wastewater into less polluted water, and we get our biomass out of the algae also. Okay. Similarly, there are other two species you can see. They are done open raceway pond. They also showed very high biomass productivity. Okay. So that means this open system cultivation can be used for producing large quantity of biomass, which are not therapeutic or non-consumable. See, because if they are even poison or invasion of foreign algae are there, if you are not using for any therapy or eating purpose, we can do it in open raceway pond. So that's what we have. There are several ways we can do, as you said. And whatever the defects in the open ponds can be rectified by using the closed system cultivation. So the growth of fungi and other algae species can be controlled to certain extent. Okay, so we can avoid other algae species growth or other fungi or bacteria coming into the system when you do it in closed system. Okay. And the main, but there is a problem associated with the closed system is there is a chance of increase in temperature, which may further require agitation to control. So, because when you do it in closed, because in open, the temperature is taken care because it has to reach a equilibrium. But when you do it in a closed system, you should maintain the uniform temperature when you have to cool it, then we have to provide some jacketed to maintain that one. So that needs to be done. So the alterations that are made in open and closed system algae cultivation makes changes in the productivity or decide states. Okay, obviously the way how we are operating is going to have result affect the result. Okay, so these are some of the commercial level microalgae production system, ponds and photobioreactors. A to C are ponds and photobioreactors. You can see. So that way the water is being sent, the microalgae is being done. As I said, the algae can be green, blue, or brown in color. So this is green algae which is being grown. Okay, so here you can see brown algae which is being grown. So you can see these are different parts of country. In Japan we have pond. Okay. So in Hawaii. Okay, so that is not, they are already being implemented. Okay, so microalgae is being grown either in that way or this way. So even it can be done like of other than pond, we can have tubes like this, like plug flow reactor you might have seen in CRE laboratory. So you have it like heat exchanger pipeline. So continuously it will go from this pipe to this pipe. Different pipelines are there. So a tubular pipe which are transparent mostly, so that sunlight comes into that. Okay, so that can be also done. So that is one of the one which is having different capacity also. So we have this capacity available in Germany, and you can see this one Israel. So these things are being done in commercial level also. Okay, so that way this algae growth, this cultivation is being done, and these are some of the commercially produced microalgae. The list is here. So A is, you can refer here. So you have spirulina. So spirulina even mainly it is an edible one. Okay, I will show that, discuss it in the towards the end of the session. I will discuss about this spirulina. But you can see that they are commercially producing it, which is cultured in high alkalinity bicarbonate waters. We have Dunina salina, grows on high salinity, and it produces beta carotene. You can see that they are vitamin kind of things. Okay, they are nutrients to human, so we can be consumed for consumption of human. They are being produced at commercial level. Okay, then you have Hematococcus flovealis, red color due to astaxanthin, a carotenoid used in aquaculture feeds and nutritional products. You have Chlorella vulgaris, first microalgae produced commercially for human food. Okay, then you have Amphora species with the most diatom structures, large amount of silicate, increasing production cost. You have nanochlorosis species grown in seawater. It's a now popular species of biofuel or feed production. You have microclinium species grown in wastewater, which can aggregate into large flocks biopopulation. Then you have B. brownie, a unique hydrocarbon producing species. Okay. So then you have Anabena cylindrica, a nitrogen fixing cyanobacterium with potential for fertilizer production. So these are commercially produced species microalgae. Okay, so that's why just wanted to share, because some of you can pick up one of them and work on it as a BTech project or MTech, or you can guide students if you're a faculty to work on this area. Even I found it very useful for my training the students at MTech level also. So that way, these two are the major things. That's what in past 5-10 minutes we have discussed about which is the best way to produce the grow these microalgae at large scale production. See, laboratory scale we can do it as well, right? But for large scale production, we have seen that raceway ponds and bioreactors are some of the way to one. As I said, tubular setup can be made of glass for easy transportation of light of photosynthesis. Okay, so this plate type photoreactors are made of plastic or glass. So these are a simple construction, inexpensive way, specific algae strains under the condition of pH, light, etc. We have to control. Okay. So that way we can operate these under vertical, tubular or column type. Okay, so according to the fund available, we can do it simple way to large scale also, pilot scale also we can do. So this kind of thing we can do to grow the microalgae. Okay. So there are parameters which needs to be maintained for optimum growth. As I said, in the research paper result also, I told you that the pH, temperature, nutrient load, CO2 availability, cultural medium, what is the salinity, all that is needs to be studied. Okay, they are called abiotic factors. And both abiotic and biotic parameters will have significant effect on the growth of algae species during the cultivation. Okay, so temperature is important factor. As I said, we have to maintain optimum temperature for the given species. So as I said, for a particular species, it can be 15 min. We have to ensure that plus or minus 5% we will be able to maintain the temperature. So in open raceway pond system, temperature control and maintenance is difficult. In closed system, it is easy to control. Okay, and pH is having a major effect on algae species, which determines the carbon dioxide and mineral solubility in the cultivated medium. And buffering ability, quantity of dissolved oxygen, metabolic activity, algae cell also has direct effect on pH, and hence optimum pH for growth will vary for different algae species. Okay, and also for uniform temperature, we have to do agitation and also important factor. They also control the thing. So you want to monitoring the growth and nutrient availability inside the cultivation ponds. Agitation continuously has to be done. So it will not be required in open pond cultivation since growth cannot be uniform, whereas in closed cultivation system, agitation becomes an important parameter to ensure proper growth. Okay. So based on the algae cultivation, what is the biochemical composition? Because we talked about different composition. You have to see what is the composition of the algae, what is the effect of cultivation method on this biochemical composition needs to be understood, right? So that how people have reported is they have reported the composition of growth medium salinity influence the composition of the algae. So mainly composition of the growth medium and salinity, salt content, NaCl content, which affects the composition of the algae is what one of the major report. Okay, among the various parameters influencing the composition of algae, this growth medium, salinity also having a role. So the composition of algae could be controlled to some extent by the upstream processes. Okay, so we can follow some upstream processes. We can follow some upstream processes to control the composition. So because of the growth in natural aquatic environment, this biochemical composition of algae harvested from different season also. Remember, as I said, it is summer season we do because other condition being same, the environment, the condition, the weather report of the local is different during summer, winter, rainy season, summer season also have some different effect on the final biochemical composition of the algae cultivated. When I talked about biochemical cultivation, I will discuss that next slide. So highest organic fraction like protein, carbohydrates, and lipids are the three microalgae species observed when the strains are collected in spring, while the lowest was obtained in the autumn. So they said the highest organic fraction is obtained during winter, during spring than in autumn. That way, the weather, the season, the weather also going to have an impact on the biochemical composition. Particularly, we talked about protein, carbohydrate, lipid as the main components of this algae. Similarly, in contrast to terrestrial biomass, micro and macro algae are short in lignin because they grow in water and they don't need lignin as a support material. So this makes the useful component of algae easier to be extracted and converted to biofuel and bioproducts. So that is the way it is. When you talk about terrestrial biomass, what I am talking about is we are comparing it with agro waste. When I say agro waste, I am talking about sugarcane bagasse or banana peels, orange peel, corn starch or wheat straw, everything. Okay. So in comparison to other things, it does not need lignin as the support material. Okay. So which means that easy to be extracted because we have seen that. That's why I spent some 5 to 10 minutes on explaining lignin, what is lignin's role, how it is costing and affecting the cost of pre-treatment is involved in the separation, all that, right? So pre-treatment is a major cost involved in lignin separation. So that is where algae growth, even though the production cost is different than the agro waste, here it is taking care of that. It doesn't need that such kind of high cost pre-treatment step that is required in the lignocellulosic biomasses, okay, terrestrial biomasses. Okay, that's what we should know. So particularly coming to the production of this algae biomass, we should know that we have to appropriate selection of the strain is important. Which algae I want to grow is important. So after which type of pond in which type of system in which we are going to do is important, because whether we want to do it as suspended culture or immobilized culture or hybrid system, and what type of site we are going to choose, whether we are going to do it in seawater, or we are going to do it in pond, or we are going to do it in open or closed, whether we have CO2 sources are there, whether we are doing in marine environment, or whether we are going to make use of sugar waste streams into the system. So all that will be considered when we are choosing the site where we are doing this particular algae growth in mass scale. Okay, to do it in lab scale, we don't do all this. For mass scale production, obviously we have to choose the site location of the plant, chemical plant, accordingly. Okay, and similarly we have to look into resources also, that building, land, equipment for growing the water, sunlight, CO2 nutrients is available or not, power supply is there without electricity, power cut or not. We have to see whether availability of human resources, we have labor or not. Okay, so we need all the things we need to be considered. So these all the things we have to do in the stage of planning. And as I discussed, in the cultivation stage, we have to look into temperature, pH, salinity of the growing medium, that is the water. We have to look into how light is being supplied to the system, whether it is light intensity, photopyroid, we'll see for light exposure. CO2 nutrient, how we are allowing, aeration, how we are doing, how CO2 absorption is done, all that we have to consider when we look into cultivation. Okay. So then coming to from this, after we cultivate, what is the step? After planning, we do cultivation in the site. After cultivation comes the feedstock harvesting. So this harvesting step is important step, as I said. How we have to harvest, because separating algae from water and taking the biomass is important. So first step involved in this is dewatering, and then we have to dry it. Then we get algae biomass feedstock. Okay. So after that comes technologies to convert this biomass into other products. Okay, so that way we have to ensure that we get industrial wastewater, we have supply of CO2, and there is sunlight, we get algal biomass. After that, these are coming under cultivation or bioremediation steps. Then comes the production step. It can be done in different ways. As I said, there are thermochemical processes, there is continuous transesterification process, there is fermentation process, there is microbial fuel cell opportunity to do these things also. Okay, so we have different ways. So these are, after this, what we are going to discuss is general to all biomass. Okay, so biomass conversion, because here it is algal biomass we have taken. Okay, so we have focused more on algae production. So now we have to talk about all the methods available, conversion technologies available, general, but we will discuss in specific to algal biomass. Okay, microalgae biomass. Okay, so that way in conversion we have different technologies we have to look into. What are the different methods available? For example, rarefaction is one of the major methods when come into other things. This is direct combustion, you can do and get the products. And then we have transesterification, then we have liquefaction, we have gasification, pyrolysis, fermentation processes there, photobiological processes are there. So different conversion technologies are available, which can be used to get either biofuel. So biofuel you can get from, even from algae. We have choice to get final product as solid product, liquid product, or gaseous product. Among this, we are going to focus on liquid products. Okay, so because algae products are rich in oil content, we get on liquefaction, we get more liquids. So how we can do that, we are going to discuss. Apart from that, we can get several products like human and animal, which can be used as human and animal feed nutritional supplements, fertilizer, cosmetic production is there, bioplastic is there, other chemical and pharmaceutical products also can be there. So there are all byproducts of the system. When you talk about circular economy, or when you talk about zero emission kind of system, when you talk about biorefinery, so we have to use every byproduct that is coming out to make it into money. Okay, so we encash it is important step when we talk about zero emission or circular economy stuff. Okay, so we are in this context of my microalgae as a source for energy and nutrition sites we are seeing here. So we have to select, and testing is important, whether that particular species, whether the particular algae species will work or not, is what we have to do in small scale, laboratory scale. Then in large scale, in open fire reactor, we have to grow it. Then important step, then we have to ensure that fresh nutrient or recycled nutrient is continuously added for the growth of algae. After that, we have to harvest it. We have to remove the water. After removing the water, we have different processes. As I said, we can to dry it, and we can get refined fuels, coke, ethanol can be moved, very different sources, or you can generate power also. And other that is to get purified proteins also. We can really get obtain high protein products if you are looking into using it as human consumption or animal feed kind of thing. Okay. So there are different products, as I said, it is possible to get from the microalgae, which can be solid products, liquid products, or gaseous products. And there are different methods available. So here the feedstock is microalgae, and thermochemical conversion methods are there. As I said, I am going to focus on liquefaction, torrefaction, pyrolysis, gasification. We will give small introduction. Okay, so that we will get final product as bio oils. Okay. So this is what we are going to focus on. See, unlike lignocellulosic biomass, in which main constitution is made up of cellulose, hemicellulose, and lignin, we know that microalgae are composed of protein, carbohydrates, lipids. Okay, and also some ashes and acids are there. So they are rich in protein, carbohydrate. That is why they have more nutritional value when you grow this microalgae. Okay. So we are going to look into two applications now. One is energy, another one is nutritional products. Well, nutritional byproducts. Okay. So that's what we are going to complete the lecture also with that one. Okay. So we have in next 20 minutes, I will briefly introduce about these thermochemical conversion methods and how it can be used as a nutrient product. Okay. So first question comes to me is, I am already using cold air. Why I have to go towards this microalgae? It needs some biotechnology. It needs some control of temperature. It needs some control of pH. We need the support of biochemical engineers, right? So why I will do coal means anybody can run it. Even the Iron Man who buys the coal and he puts in the iron box and he burns it to get heat energy directly, right? Now, and second comparison is to be done with. Already we have sugarcane legacy, well technologies well established, the gasifiers are there, the reactors are there. Why I have to move towards the microalgae when I have these biocrops, agro crops, right? So we have agro crops, we have coal, and we are trying to introduce microalgae. So obviously people will compare, right? Why your microalgae needs to be substituted with this coal or agro crop? Is it what about its energy? Because we have to talk in terms of what is the calorific value, right? What is the high heating value? It's nothing but calorific value. What is the calorific value per kg? So if we compare it with coal, coal has a calorific value depending upon the coal nature, which Indian coal is there, Indonesia coal is there, Malaysian coal is there. So depending upon different country coal, it depending upon the composition, how much carbon it has, how much sulfur it has, they are going to have a different calorific value, right? Carbon, nitrogen content, moisture content, all that contributes to this whole calorific value. Okay, so how much carbon it contains, accordingly, its calorific value will vary from 25 to 35 megajoules per kg. So if you burn 1 kg of coal, we are going to get 25 to 35 megajoules of energy, heat. Okay, so heat energy. So, but whereas if you use agro crops, they are reported to have 15 to 20 megajoules per kg. Okay, But when I use this microalgae, they can produce up to 14 to 24 megajoules per kg of energy. So obviously, we clearly see that coal is superior in terms of calorific value. That means you can produce more energy out of it. But agro crops is having comparably less, and this is also comparably less to this coal. Okay, but within these two, why we are moving towards this bio resources? We have concerns about this coal being burned. We know that C plus O2 giving CO2, right? C plus of O2 giving CO. So this carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide production needs to be arrested. So eco-friendly products. So when we talk about agro products, it is eco-friendly. Okay, so which can help us in reducing the greenhouse gas emissions. We can address the climate change, right? So all that is possible when we move towards this one, even though the calorific value is less than the coal. Okay, so typically the HSE value is in the range which is significantly lower than the coal. Similarly, microalgae also, which is close to that of lignocellulosic, but it is obviously less than the coal. Then why we have to go towards it? Now we are going to look into calorific value of microalgae particularly. So what we are trying to tell here is from agro products, what is the oil yield percentage, and when I use some of the microalgae, what is the calorific value? Okay, so that's what we are reporting here. So if you look at this feedstock, okay, so these are some of the microalgae. Operating temperature is given, time is given, some catalyst is used. Okay, so elemental analysis, if you look at carbon content and bio oil yield and calorific value. So I am just focusing on this particular box which I have made here in the next slide. So you can see that they are microalgae, but you can see that the higher heating value of gas calorific of the fuel is crucial indicator to reveal its application in industry. So whether they are able to, we can use it in industry or not, is obtained by knowing this HSV value only. So which I am showing you here. You can see that particularly for, I am just comparing for the three, but you can see for all of them, it is around 70% is the carbon content. You can see the oil yield is around 35%. Okay, so that's what I am trying to tell you here. We have chosen the algae, right? We have to remember, it's not that every algae will have high carbon. We have to choose a particular algae such that finally what we come to know after growing it and doing element analysis, carbon content is around 70 to 75% in this algae, and which is leading to bio oil percentage conversion also more. So this we can compare with agro waste. That is, if we compare the bio oil conversion percentage in comparison to this agro waste is, they produce more bio oil and the high heating value is relative to agro waste. So oil in terms of liquefaction, particularly when you want to get bio oil conversion, it is even though calorific value, you have seen the calorific value comparison here, right? Calorific value obtained, bio oil obtained from agro waste and bio oil obtained from microalgae are almost really equal. Okay, you can say 15, 14, 20, 24. Okay, but in terms of in terms of oil yield percentage, it is very high. Okay, so that is what we are trying to tell you here. So you can see we have interval. Okay, so that way, but obviously we cannot use these bio oils or whatever it is. Calorific value of microalgae, can we use directly with industry is the first question comes up. Can we sell it in petrol bunk and use this bio oil? Again, the answer is no, because relatively it has low carbon content in microalgae, which the weight percentage of elemental carbon is around 37 to 53%. Though the microalgae can be burned directly, their energy densities are relatively low when compared to coal. So if you want to use it as direct fuel, that because we have seen carbon percentage is varying like this, can you use it directly? No, because it is going to be less. But they can be, what you can do is, you are running a coal-based power plant. In the coal plant, you can blend it with microalgae biomass, so that you have to produce 1000. Let me say 1000 energy we have to produce. No, so we have to go 1000 megawatts plant. You can produce 800 with coal, 200 with this biomass of microalgae. What you are trying to do by doing this blending? We are reducing the CO2 emission, right? When I do, instead of burning, say, let me say 1000 tons of CO2, 10-20% I can reduce, means 800 tons of CO2 is enough. Remaining, I am and using this microalgae, which is greener one, which will allow us to do so. That's what we are doing, as we explained earlier. Petrol bunk blending is done, right? Instead of directly selling bioethanol 100%, we are doing 80% or 20% or 15%, 18% by diesel petrol, 10 to 15% mixing of ethanol is being done. Slowly we are increasing because with more production of bioethanol, the blending will be more. Okay, why? Because we have the IC engines designed for petrol. When we add slowly, we are able to, we don't need to replace the engine completely. That is the reason we go for blending. Similar to that, here also, instead of producing power only by coal, we can produce power using blending it with algae biomass also. So that is the way we can go for the industry level. Okay, so coming to the processing, okay, how we can produce, because we decided, we agree that now we can send this to coal industry. Okay, it means where power generation is done, we have to send this biomass. Now we have cultivated biomass nicely. How we have to process it to get into biofuels. So that is what we are going to discuss now. So there are different thermochemical conversion methods available, as I told you earlier. There is gasification, combustion, pyrolysis, biomass conversion. Okay, so which can be operated less than 300, and there are technologies which can only operate above 300 also. This is gasification, combustion, pyrolysis, and biomass conversion techniques. Okay, so all these thermochemical processes, as I told you, they are general for any biomass. It can be wood biomass, herbaceous biomass, waste derived, or aquatic biomass. Okay, so process available are common to all, but we are going to introduce them with respect to microalgae. So that's what I will be explaining in next 5-10 minutes. Okay, before I wind up. So coming to products of liquefaction, as I said, among different techniques available, liquefaction is which can produce amount of oil product. Okay, relative to other methods. So bio oils are best method. You can say what we will be doing is we will take microalgae. We will be doing liquefaction at 250 to 350 degree under some pressure of 5 to 20 megapascal. So we will be getting two type of products. Gases will be formed, will be released. So we will get some reaction mixture. So using some solvent and filtration, we can make it into which is soluble in the solvent. We will get soluble products, and something will be insoluble. We will get another product. So that layer will be separated from the soluble one. We will be doing evaporation of the solvent, and we finally get the bio oil. Like phenols, ketones, fatty acids can be applied. Okay, so this is a typical procedure for microalgae liquefaction. So that's what we want to get. This is our desired product. In addition to that, we are going to get other products such as from the insoluble phase, we will do some filtration to get H2 insoluble and H2 soluble products. We get aqueous phase where we have all these things. Mineral matters will be present, ammonia or calcium or will be there. So from this we can use it as nutrient as recycling. Okay, recycle to grow the microalgae, because here both is important, right? So there we can send this one there also after necessary pre-treatment. Okay, so the other one is we can dry and get the solid residue which will be char and ash. Okay, cool. Will be obtained. Okay, so this is the typical procedure of liquefaction, and and this yield, the bio oil yield and HSV are typically in the range of 30 to 65%. That's what I told. In comparison to agro products, we are going to have better oil production, bio oil yield percentage. Also, as I said, the HSV calorific value is also high than high heating value is around 30 to 50 megajoules per kg, and this is comparable to that of petroleum fuel, which is around 43 megajoules per kg. So that's what. So this bio oil that we produce from this algae, which can have the heating value which is comparable to that of petroleum fuel oil, which is around 43 megajoules. And consequently, this bio oil from liquefaction can be used as fuel to be burned, And compared to raw microalgae, bioions have significantly lower elemental oxygen. So it microalgae have more oxygen. Okay, so it can vary more. So, but in bioion we have less oxygen, so which can be used in burning all these things also. Okay. So, for example, the weight percentage of elemental oxygen in this particular species, Dunalena, and its bioion from liquefaction is around 53 to 25% respectively. Okay, so we are able to get this less percentage of oxygen. Okay, and if you compare to petroleum crude oil, still these bioions are having some higher oxygen content. So that way we are having a challenge to compete with the petroleum crude oil. Okay. So, and by virtue of partial bioions generated from proteins in microalgae, high content of nitrogen is contained in bioions, which varies from 5 to 9%. Okay. And coming to sulfur, that's why I discussed about the elemental analysis of bioions obtained from algae separately, and they also compared with other things. I clearly told you whether hydrogen should be more or less, nitrogen should be more or less, sulfur should be more or less, aspen content should be more or less. So now we did some analysis and see that the sulfur content in bioion is usually less than 1 weight percentage, which is relatively lower than the sulfur content in some of the fossil fuels that is normally ranging from 0.05 to 5 also. Remember, we still sulfur content. Remember, the higher the sulfur, corrosion is the problem. So the material construction, the reactor design, everything needs to be changed. The cost will be affected. So for this fossil fuel, that is the problem associated with going with conventional fuel production, energy production using these fossil fuels. Okay, so that's why because nowadays we are getting high. Whatever new research that are being obtained, we found that sulfur content in the fossil fuel is high, which means that it is going to be very difficult to separate out sulfur from lithium, because H2S is an important one which needs to be removed from all these ones. Even while transporting, even from reservoir site to take it transport to your refinery site, when sulfur content is there on site, we reduce sulfur content. That is what being done now. Okay, when higher the sulfur content at okay, coming back to the next method, there are other methods, as I said, there are gasification method. As I told, these are common to all. I think even in your offline sessions, you are going to have somebody presenting in detail about gasification techniques. So in general, I will tell about this gasification. Whatever is your biomass, it will have hydrogen, oxygen along with carbon as the major component. Obviously, we will be sending. We know that air contains. We know that all 79% nitrogen, 21% oxygen. So we will be passing air, which will supply oxygen. Obviously, some steam reforming will be there, so water will be there, because if it is the product or it will be supplied. So just there you can see the product is there. So you have ammonia, carbon, sorry, you have methane, carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, hydrogen being formed. Along with other products. Okay, so if nitrogen is there, that will also undergo some reaction. Sulfur will undergo reaction. They are by reaction. They are talking about major reaction that is taking place. Okay, so that's what happens in the gasification unit. And there are some, I will just put a one-line word of different type of gasifier which are available to convert this thing. So you can do fixed bed, fluidized bed, moving bed, and entrained flow reactors. So if you compare the operating temperature of different techniques, you can say fixed bed gasifier, fluidized bed gasifier, entrained flow and plasma can be used. So what we get is different feedstocks are used in this one. So each one has its own advantage. For example, fixed bed has high tolerance of ash content, low tar accumulation, minimum sensitivity towards feedstock size and quantity. Okay, operates around 800 to 900 temperature. If you use fluidized bed gasifier, you have high heat surface, heat transfer area, you have thorough mixing of feedstock and bed material, moderate requirement of gasification medium, and you have other methods which have some advantages. But I will give a one-line summary of this gasification method. That fluidized bed gasifiers provide excellent mixing and gas-solid contact, which will enhance the conversion efficiency and the reaction rate. In comparison to fixed bed and moving bed type, they have some disadvantage because there is large quantity of tar and char are being produced because low and non-uniform heat and mass transfer. So when you have uniform heat and mass transfer, because in fluidized bed we have that advantage. we will have some uniform heat and mass transfer, which will provide some excellent mixing and provides better gas solid contact, so which will effectively higher reaction rate. Okay, so this use of this bed material as heat transfer medium and catalyst improves the quality and decreases the torque content of the one. So similarly, I think due to shortage of time, I am skipping this method because obviously somebody will be discussing about this pyrolysis method. Just pyrolysis method and have its own advantage and disadvantage. I just put it in one line. In terms of pyrolysis, there are different type of pyrolysis. One is slow pyrolysis and fast pyrolysis. So this pyrolysis can be done slow, fast, or flash. Particularly if we come towards this microalgae, fast pyrolysis is very much helpful to produce the biooil. So I will just compare this thing. Mode of selection. When you do slow, medium, and fast, when I say fast, it is only just 2 seconds. So that is 2 seconds is fast pyrolysis. Greater than 30, it is low. Medium is 10 to 30. Okay, so when you do fast pyrolysis, you can see the yield, weight percentage. You can see less charge and liquid is 70% percentage with 30% water reduced. You can see here when you do slow pyrolysis, the water content is more in the bioil. There difficulty, that is a difficulty in separating the oil, okay, from water. But whereas when you do fast pyrolysis, water formation is reduced. Okay, so you have only 30% of water in your 70%. So overall, liquid yield is also increasing and also less water content is there. So that way, if we are using pyrolysis method, fast pyrolysis has to be utilized. So that's what we learn from this one. So that's what I said. So microalgae are feasible for feedstock for pyrolysis because bioil produced from microalgae are more stable than from those lignocellulosic ones. So okay, so we get more stable one in comparison to agro waste. Okay, means agrobiomass, when I say they are rich in lignin. Okay, so these bioions contain hundreds of chemical compounds, aldehydes, gresols, acids. So upgrading bioions to hydrogenation and cracking is required to facilitate their further utilization. So we have seen this earlier also. So that way microalgae pyrolysis will have very good advantages when you do particularly fast pyrolysis. And there are other methods, the biochemical transestigation methods are there. I think that will be covered by other people. But when I come into the characteristics of bioil, so depending upon what type of conversion method we follow, what type of environment we have grown it, so this lipid condition content will be varying from 15 to 75% and so here, depending upon the species and the cultural conditions, the lipid content in microalgae biomass vary between 15 to 75% in biomass, whereas it will be, in general, it will be 20 to 30%. Is very common, as you see here in this table. Okay, so there you can see that which strain will produce more oil content. That is how we have to choose our algae, right? I want to produce bio oil from this thing. I'm going for microalgae. Don't blindly choose a microorganism. Look at the oil content that is reported. Okay, so for example, among green algae, you can say chlorella species is having around 32% oil content available. So here it is possible to get this Botryococcus browning. 75% oil content is possible depending upon the growth. So you can see the higher range. Okay, so you have to choose the species, microalgae species accordingly because they are all established, well established. So still we don't have no clear selection criteria, but still we can go with the literature. Okay, in literature somebody has reported they are able to get this. We should able to try it, start from that one. Still we have to identify our own parameters to fix that. And another parameter that we have to see in choosing the species is what is the typical fatty acid profile in the microalgae species. How much lipid producing can be done, can be seen because high proportion of saturated and unsaturated fatty acid are considered optimal to meet biodiesel quality standards. So our aim is to use it as biodiesel, bioil. So we should choose these things, right? Fatty acid, these are some of the parameters which we have to see. So if you compare with first generation feedstock, second generation. See, I am doing all the comparison because they are well established one, right? As I said, first generation soya bean, rapeseed oil, sunflower. From that, how much we are getting. So you can see the properties here now. Okay, so now you look at this fatty acid composition, it is 10 here, here it is 33, 3.9 here, 4.7, 22 here, 55. Okay, so that way, this third generation feedstock, what is third generation feedstock? Microalgae. So this microalgae, in terms of fatty acid composition, they are rich comparison to your first generation, they are rich in comparison to your second generation. So that way, data-wise, if you look into the literature and compare the fatty acid composition, so we have this thing. But one thing that we should know is, not all microalgae have better lipid content. Okay, so not all microalgae are suitable for bioion production. That we should know that thing. So not all lipid accumulated in the microalgae can be transformed into biodiesel, indicating that we have to choose neutral lipids, which is most important than total lipid content. Okay, so it's not that we can blindly go with more lipid content. We have to see that among the lipid present, how much percentage is fraction is neutral lipid. Okay, so that way this fatty acid profile is also affected by the environmental factors, cultivation conditions. So they may vary during different growth phases also. That way, the cultivation and harvesting is very important. And that's where the biotechnologists have a very important role and biochemical engineers have a role, and ensuring the proper cultivation is done and the proper harvesting techniques are being developed. So they are all requirements. So these are some of the species which have neutral lipids, more good neutral lipids, as is shown in the previous slides. The same name I am showing here. So these are some of the microalgae which can be used as a reference and start modifying it also. Okay. So coming to future scope of this one, I think it's already 9. So I think then and there I have told you what are the challenges available. I'll just put it in quick words that we have to, R&D effort has to be done to have a stable cultivation to give more resistance to foreign materials getting into the open source. Close to thing we don't have that problem. Okay, so that way we have to develop different strains of microalgae which can have more fuel values, and there is always ground for optimism. It will be possible to achieve these goals. So even though it is looking apparently simplicity, microalgae mass cultures are difficult undertaking, and most current R&D efforts appear to lack a full understanding of the complexities involved, knowledge of what has already been tried, so and all too often failed before also. Because nobody report get published for the failure results, right? We try that this I can try, that I can try, but somebody might have tried and found that it is failed, but it is not reported. Okay. Coming to the last 2 minutes of the presentation, so as the title of the talk mentioned, what is the role of these microalgae as nutraceuticals? We are familiar with the word pharmaceutical, right? So from pharmaceutical, we have a new word, nutraceutical. So what is that? Is nutrition is the meaning here. Okay. So we are aware about pharmaceuticals. So now, what is this nutraceutical application of algae? So in recent years, this microalgae cultivation has gained increasing attention for the production of biofuel, functional food, and nutraceuticals. So this is what our concern now. So biomass is fractionated to different chemical entities, and they are converted to different end products. So one of the end product is like we get alcohol, carbohydrate, proteins, essential oils, nutraceutical, pharmaceuticals, and lipids. So what is this nutraceutical? Remember the capability of the every microalgae is they react like a small reactor that can produce food, which can produce energy, which can produce high value products. What they are observing by taking some nutrients, some sunlight and carbon dioxide, and through process of photosynthesis, they can produce food, energy, and high value products. So remembering that, so we can understand that algae is also an important source of bioactive compound extraction. So particularly we can grow algae in large scale to just to recover, not for biofuel production, for recovering these bioactive components through extraction. So which can be used to animal feed, food products or nutraceuticals. So they are all major commercialized algae products. Okay. So particularly nori, wakame, kombu, dulce are some of the most common macroalgae species for human consumption. And as I told you, I told even that time also, the spring spirulina and chlorella are widely used as food supplement for human and animals. Even agar, alginate, carrageenan, picoidone are the most important polysaccharides extracted from the commercialized from the microalgae, and they are used in this formulation of food products, cosmetics, and nutraceuticals. Okay, so now you understood what is nutraceuticals. This is like cultivating algae for getting the nutritional products from it. Okay, so phytoxanthin, astaxanthin, beta carotene, phycobilly proteins are algae-derived pigments which used as natural dyes in food products, cosmetics, and animal feed. So that also one of the product we can get. And also we can get polyunsaturated fatty acids, another high-value product extracted from algae, which has health promoting properties also. Okay. So in addition, algae are used in aquaculture. We can add these algae products even in agricultural fertilizer application also they are having. So as I said, this dulce is one of the recent one. Okay, newly patented strain of red-leafed algae dulce, a lettuce-like plant that grows in the wild along Atlantic and Pacific coastlines. Remember, these algae are not new. Okay, people are making these food products. Even the reports are there in 19th century how to make cake and food from the seaweed. All reported. Seaweed is one of the macroalgae, right? Macroalgae are also known as seafoods. Okay, so as I said, this dulce has been reported as one, which is protein rich. Okay, so which is 16% protein it contains. So this one, and it is loaded with antioxidant, vitamins, and minerals. So it grows quickly and inexpensively in natural and farm settings. So it is possible to make it into commercial scale production for this one. That's what they have reported. So like that, there are so many algae which can be made to produce products which are on. So one of the product which you can even check it in Amazon also. So this spirulina is one of the algae. Okay, so which cost around 499 for 2 grams. Right, 2 grams is 500 rupees. Okay, so what is the usage? You can see that the spirulina is a microalgae species which contains more than 50% protein, which contains beta carotene, antioxidant, and vitamins. Okay, so if, for example, in Indonesia they are selling it for 400, which is costing around 2 rupees per kg. Okay, but this product is costlier because some Himalayan product, but you can search for other products which will be cheaper. You can see that 4 rupees per kg is being sold in Indonesia. So you can see the spirulina is the highest protein, beta carotene levels of all green superfoods. Okay, they are naturally occurring gamma linolenic acid is also there. Okay, so that way we have spirulina. So apart from this microalgae based market potential falls in several food categories. As I said, it can be used as natural pigments, it can be used as single cell protein, carotenoids, fatty acid derivatives, polysaccharides, all can be done. Okay, so the microalgae biomass is currently being sold for approximately 1,000 euros, which is around 86,000 per ton. That is the market value for microalgae biomass. Okay, so microalgae biomass bioproducts are developed over the years, adding significant value to the market. And this techno-economic analysis on selling price of the microalgae polysaccharides application is estimated to be around much dollars. Okay, in dollars per ton, how much it is being there. Okay. So there is a huge scope for this type of methods, and ultrasonication methods. As I told, we have procured the chemical method thing. So ultrasonication assisted extraction method is the best one for unidentified polysaccharides for particularly nutraceutical applications. Okay, I would like to conclude the talk short of time with the 9:05. So the summary, coming to the summary, in this lecture session, we have discussed about the energy demand, the global scenario and the Indian scenario. We have seen that there is a need for sustainable energy to be produced, and we have seen that it is gaining attention, particularly in Asian countries are leading more than the European countries. If you remember the graph which we have discussed, and there is a need to adopt, government has to make proper policies to ensure that renewable and sustainable energy technologies are researched, coming into pilot scale, coming into commercial scale across all the sectors to mitigate the environmental challenges. And if you look at the advantage of using microalgal organisms in variety of industries, we have seen and we can use proper harvesting can be done batch wise or continuously all around the year, unlike agro crops. For example, sugar cane is there, mean we can do the seasonal crop, right? So we have to do only during that period. But when you talk about this microalgae based thing, it can be advantages. It needs less land. It can be year, calendar year, right? So that is the advantage we have. Also, it is able to consume the carbon dioxide also, right? It don't produce any biomass waste, or it doesn't produce any burning waste is not a problem in this particular thing. Okay, so that way more technology analysis we can do, and we can look into biorefinery approach, which will help to sustainable technologies using this algae to overcome the challenges to bring them into the market and raise their application rate in each sector with support of the project companies. Okay. Thank you so much for patiently listening to this session. Yeah. Sir, over to you, Ankas.
Thank you, sir, Rajamohan sir.
Yes, sir.
So,
So this is the
whole
content.
summary of the last, 5 days, it is covered, in our session that you are highlighted all the points
Okay.
that to how the bioenergy it is like produced, and what are the sources of the biofuels, and what are the methodology that are like so far there, like, so you have touched all the way in all the sessions. So that gives the revised ourselves that the points, what are the methodologies available for the biofuel productions. Over to comparing team. So the any queries there in your mind, you can feel free to discuss with Rajmohan sir. Otherwise, we can go for the vote of thanks. Participants, if you have any queries, so feel free to unmute and yourself so that we can discuss.
Yes, just to recall, I am also from Tamil Nadu. I am from Tanjore. Actually, Gopinath and myself worked in Shastra University together. We worked together in ATS Lerano. So he is the one who linked me to biofield actually. So I'm thankful to him.
Thank you so much, Rajmohan sir. So, participants, any queries on your mind? Over to comparing team.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable time and enlightening us with your knowledge. It was a great session. Now, I would like to invite Ms. Anisha Har, Assistant Professor of Department of Biotechnology, to propose the vote of thanks. Over to you, ma'am.
Good evening, everyone. I take immense pleasure in proposing this honor and privilege to propose this vote of thanks on this special occasion. I would like to thank our resource person, Dr. K.S. Rajamohan sir, for enlightening us with immense knowledge on algal biofuels and microalgae. I also thank the organizer, the dean, and the head of the department for supporting the event. Last but not least, I wholeheartedly thank all the participants for spending their time in spite of the cyclone and heavy rainfall to attend this lecture. Once again, thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, Rajmohan sir. There was some bandwidth problem. That's what I could not able to unmute my video due to this rainfall. So thank you, one and all joined the today's session. So that feedback link is posted in the chat room. So I request all of you to fill out the feedback form and also the attendance, so that will be taken considerations. So thank you, one and all. You can safely be there in your house without any movement from your house, because the cyclone is about to reach the seashore area.
So today, what time,
Probably that will be Yeah, actually, today there was a cyclone in Tamil Nadu, so it's
Yeah.
probably in between Mahabalipuram and Chennai that will be, getting
Crossing,
into
huh?
the land.
No, time of crossing.
Yeah, yeah. All of you all safely, stay in your home, and and also whatever the communications about the, FDP will be posted in the group. So thank you, Anandal, for joining. Yes, sir, Rajmohan, sir.
Yeah, thank you, sir. I should thank who gave welcome address, Udayamali madam, and Sankamita Pavitra. Thanks for nice
Yeah,
introduction.
thank you,
Really
thank.
appreciate both of thanks, Anish. Okay, thank you for
Yeah,
inviting me.
thank
That
you,
is
sir.
it, but the only thing is, it was a
Yeah.
busy schedule week for us. Okay.
Yeah, I know. We only
Yeah, I
thank
would
you
have been
because in spite of
offline.
your busy schedule, after conducting ChemCon and other formalities, again you are stuck with a lot of schedule. So, in spite of your busy schedule, you accepted our invitation for giving away your the algal guest lecture. So we are very thankful to you, sir.
I hope feedback is good for the participants. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. I will share with you
Thank you.
since because of the rainfall only might be the introduction. I mean, the discussion is not up to the mark. But other than that, your session is wonderful. You are touched all the way that all the points. We start with the biofuels and what are the different types of biofuels and the methods of biofuels and sources of the biofuels, so and reactors being used, so all the way that you are touched, and lastly that the summarized your area where you can touch the examples also. It is wonderful that I didn't expect that examples also you touch. So thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. And thank you all.
Thank,
Hope to meet you
yeah,
all.
thank you,
Yeah.
thank you, thank you. Yeah, PPT will be shared, sir. We are collecting the PPTs from all the resource persons. Once the things will be done, it will be, either by the Google Drive or nor other any other sources. That will be the way we can able to share you with you all before ending of the FDP. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay, fine. Okay, sir. Okay.
Bye, sir. Good night, sir.
Bye. Thank you. Convey my regards.
Yeah, thank you.